Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about the Walking Dead TV show in another Q&A. Now, we haven't done a Q&A in a little while, so in the previous video, I told you guys to leave your questions down in the comment box. I want to dive right into the questions, and you guys are going to see this live. Now, I am still tweaking the format, and I do want to mention this. We are not getting rid of full screen format. We're not getting rid of that at all. Like I mentioned in the previous video, we're going to have multiple different formats, and those are definitely sticking around. There's certain ones like the gaming one, you can't do it without that because at this time, I refuse to use just my voice for the gaming videos, having just a voice. It just feels so detached. As far as this style Q&A, I do want to get these formats up where you can see it live. You can see the questions live. So we're still tinkering with it, but don't worry. The full screen videos are not going away. We will have those videos when it is appropriate for that. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's just shut up and dive right in and hunt for the first question, which is going to be J.P. Walker Slayer. Hey Ronnie, what part of All Out War are you most excited to see adapted to this TV series? I don't think I have a certain part of All Out War. The entire thing is interesting. I want to know how they're going to weave this story around the non-fighting parts and into the fighting parts, because I have seen so many comments from people where they are truly expecting one huge war, like bad guys on this side, good guys on this side, every community on a battlefield, they shoot and fight and kill, and that's it, and then All Out War is done. And I don't think they really are expecting what is most likely going to happen, where it is an all-out war, but it's not battlefields in every single episode. There's going to be other story elements and things happening that is not going to be about war or fighting or killing. There's going to be missions building up to it. There's going to be episodes where there might not even be a single gun fired during the season of All Out War. You never know. It all depends on the structure and the story they're going to tell. So the part I'm most excited for is to see how they're going to weave in and out of the fighting and the non-fighting part of the story for All Out War. Now I'm scrolling through only looking for Q&A. So if you are participating in the Q&As and you're new on this channel, this is actually how I find the questions. I scroll down, I look for Q&A first, and boom, I pick that one. What the fuck happened to Heath? I don't know. The actor took another job. He probably saw how they were structuring it. We have seen or heard actors in interviews talk about how it's structured. And we're not talking right now. Every time we talk about structure, we always get that 20 or 30 people that are like, oh, why are we talking about structure? Whether it's to rant about it or to rave about it, to say you hate it or to say you love it, it's a part of the discussion. It affects the acting, the directing, it affects the storytelling, it affects the viewers watching it. And right now we're not talking about whether it's good or bad, but it looks like the actor saw there's going to be 6 or 7 episodes and he's not in them, and he said, you know what, I'm finding another job and we will work around the schedule. And it looks like that's what's happening here. So where is he? Is he with the Heapsters, or are they going to bring him into the story in season 8 or at the end of this season? I think they could simply bring him back at the end of this season and maybe even incorporate that with the people at Oceanside, or maybe leave it as a mystery for the next season. They did that with Beth from season to season. So he might, you know what, I'm going to place my bets with it's a mystery for the next season to answer, not this one. How's that? SMR, do you think that the show has decreased in quality this year? No. Who do you think has more room to develop? Who do I think has more room to develop? Dwight. I think they need to, if they're going to, listen, they gave him enough shine, but I feel like you still need more there. I feel like he's the only character that I was expecting more, even though we've gotten stuff. You know, he's been on screen, but we just haven't dug deep with his character development. I want more Dwight. Oh, you ask, Dwight or Daryl? There you go, Dwight. And who do you think is a better character? Who do I think? There's just no question about it. You can't. That's really difficult, bro. I've been with Daryl this whole time, you know. I love Dwight in the comic. I really love Dwight in the comic a lot. I am really excited for Dwight in the show, But I fucking love Norman Reedus. I've been with Daryl for 7 seasons. I'm not going to pick another character. It's Daryl, you know what I mean? Come on. And I rag on Daryl, you know what I mean? But that's only because I feel like they could do some better things with his character, and it gets frustrating. And then you get into the moments where it's like, okay, this character it's too bulletproof. Let's chop his hand off or something. That was a joke. I don't really want to do that. Daryl, but Dwight has a lot of promise to outshine Daryl as a interesting character, in my opinion. Will they go that route? I'm not sure. Max plays games and stuff. Do you really think they could drag All Out War along for Season 8? Listen, I grabbed the compendium because I was going to go in on this. This is the only question I saw when I answered another question. I scrolled through comments, and I answered 2 or 3 that popped up on notifications. This was the only one I saw that was a Q&A. And I brought out the compendium, and I was going to show you. I was going to be like, listen, you say drag out, but if you read the comic, it's choppy as hell. And that's not a bad thing. You need it to be because of the comic medium, because Kirkman actually crammed a lot of story, a lot of story into All Out War. I was going to use Richard as an example, but he's already passed. But if you look at Richard, in Season 7, he has already gotten more development than Richard in the book. You know what I mean? They built him up to have like a death in the middle of a battlefield. So if that was on the show, if they adapted this faithfully, they would have incorporated a lot more Richard to build up that moment for when he's going to die. There's a lot more. Just read the second part and the third part in All Out War. I think that's what it is. You'll start noticing there's one point right when the war kicks off, we go into Ezekiel telling Michonne what happened, and it's just so choppy. I remember reading that 3 times before I realized, oh, the sanctuary was dealing with something. This was just a different outpost. There's other outposts. Go back and reread All Out War, and now think about the fact that the TV show dives deep with the character development, and then you tell me if they're going to drag it out for all season. And I think this plays into fans thinking that it's all going to be war. It's all war. It's not. It's really not. You have these communities that need to come together, and there's going to be other story, and that's why I'm saying general, because we don't know what they're doing with Oceanside other than fighting in the war. We don't know what they're doing with the Heapsters other than fighting in the war, but they got to have something else planned. And as far as dragging it out, no, they could chop it off in the mid-season finale and just have All Out War for half a season, and they could go into a new beginning in Season 8B. If they do that, listen, I want the Whispers. I love the Whispers. I'm in no rush. If they do that, I think that's going to be a real shitty thing, and I'm going to blame the budget. I think you could do a whole season of All Out War easily, especially with the way they develop characters, and I don't think it would be even close to dragging it out. So you guys let me know. I want to hear your opinions on this because this is a really interesting topic. Will they do All Out War in the first half and then the new beginning in the second half, or will we get a full season of All Out War? And for those saying, oh, All Out War is only a sliver, and I've seen this comment way too much. Here is All Out War, just All Out War. Moving on, Surprise Attack. What do you think is one of the most problematic things with The Walking Dead right now, and maybe how to fix it? And not saying the show is bad or anything, but The Walking Dead is starting to die for me. Rip Abraham. For you guys know what I'm going to say. It's the structure. The structure blows. Abraham, Glenn, some fans are upset, like if those are your favorite characters. Some fans just don't like the story, point blank. They just hate the story. They think it's boring. We're focusing on characters that we don't like, and this is a part where I get what they're saying, but at the same time, I agree with the writers and the producers. If you don't build these characters up, you're not going to give a damn. You won't care. If you don't give Ezekiel a story, he will not get the chance to become one of your favorites. Glenn was your favorite. Abraham was your favorite. If it wasn't for build-up episodes, he wouldn't have become your favorite. Where I disagree, though, is I think you have, and they have, built up their characters while telling interesting parts of the story. The only times I criticize it is where they do character development, and that's it. It's uninteresting moments, and it has character development in it. The character development might be interesting, like Daryl and Dwight. Putting Daryl and Dwight together pre-Burnface was awesome, but they set it up in one of the most boring ways. Oh, we're going to run around the woods for a little bit. yeah, you have characters that when you go back and rewatch it, it's definitely cool watching Dwight pre-Burnface. After seeing him now, it's definitely cool. But they could have made that episode way more intense by just changing some things around. I thought the Dwayne and the guy getting his arm cut off, I thought the reason they didn't go overboard intense with that is because they were going to set that up later on. We don't know Dwayne. What happened to Dwayne? Is he dead? What about the guy with his arm cut off? We didn't see any guy walking around with his arm cut off. We didn't hear any stories. I think that was a complete failed opportunity where they could have had an intense moment, an intense story in episode 6 with Dwight and Daryl, and they didn't. It's character development, it's setting up the story, but it's nowhere as intense as it could have been. After we've gotten a whole season and a half, there's just no excuse for it now. Excuse not to have it as intense as it was. Let's see. Danny Elfie. Where is Heath? Now that more than half a season has gone by and he is still gone, do you think he is alive or dead? He's alive. We've already talked about that. Do you think we will know what happened to him before? We already talked about that too. Moving on. Kurt Cobain. Hey, dumbass. Do you think AMC has the guts to kill Daryl during All Out War, or will they keep him alive until the end of the show? With the way the ratings are dropping, there's no way. They'll never kill Daryl now. It's not happening. Lexa Clark. Do you think they will add battles to All Out War that are not in the comic? Absolutely they will. Just because of the story set up the way it is now, they almost have to make some of it make sense. Makes sense as far as why they set it up like that, not make sense as being coherent. I think this is a good idea to appease the filler haters and to make the comic All Out War a whole season. Seems like a stretch, but since the Junkyard Group is in play, I see them adding filler action. I'm stuttering because there's no periods. People don't use periods anymore. I'm not mad at you, Lexa Clark. I hope you die soon. Not the person who wrote the comment, but her on the show, because fuck Fear of the Walking Dead. It's so boring. All right. No, I think I've talked to death about it's not stretching it out. If they can combine it, and I think that would be a budget thing. I think there's plenty of story to put All Out War in the one season, but if it's a budget issue, they can combine it. That's fine. I just don't see them rushing to the new beginning like that. I don't see it. Jay Lordy, are you nervous to see how Shiva looks killing people on TV with the recent CGI problems? I'm getting a little nervous myself. Yeah, sure. I'll be honest with you, yeah. So far, they've been doing good with Shiva, you know. Jordan, Kyle, Tibat, whatever. Hey, Ronnie, will The Walking Dead Season 7 on Blu-ray feature all the violence? I have no idea. I hope so. They apparently had to cut down on the TV version, not necessarily because of swearing from Negan, but the general violence that was cut down on TV. Yeah, I hope so. Oh, a lot of people tell me, I just noticed this now, I'm leaning to my left. I do it as a comfort thing, the monitor's here, and I put the microphone here because I lean to my left. A lot of people are like, Ronnie, move your mic, it makes you lean. No, this is how I like sitting. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the monitor's right there, but I love leaning like this. So if that bothers you, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not going to stop leaning. You will see Negan stop leaning before I stop leaning. All right. What do we have here? LilyTube. Hey, Ronnie. What's your take on Eugene's reaction to Rosita and Sasha and the possibility of him becoming a traitor to the gang? Do you think he might have some loyalty in him, or do you think his need to feel needed is important, comfortable, safe, protected, will at the end outweigh his loyalty? You know what? I think Eugene was scared and just outweighing the risks. What did I say before? I said this on video, didn't I? In the review, the whole gang didn't come and break Eugene out. They didn't win. Negan's not dead. They could make Eugene betray, you know, fine, but I'm sorry. I'm going to label that dog shit writing. It's just dog shit. What did we see with Eugene's character development in season 5 and season 6? To have him just say, oh yeah, this is comfortable, you know, Negan's putting me to work, I'm Negan, and this is all perfect, and this is the life I want. Nah, forget it. Just forget it. I would hate it if they did that. I think Eugene just knew this is a suicide mission. They should leave. He didn't say, come get me. He doesn't want their deaths on his head or whatever, you know. That's the way I saw it. I saw it as a Eugene who was just scared because he knows this is going to blow up. These bitches are going to bitch this shit up, you know. They're going to bitch nuts. Oh, I fucked that up. Bitch nuts. It's bitch nuts. Anyway, a wire guy, Paul Lee, Ronnie, who's the bag lady going to bite? If there is one, you take your pick. Rosita, that would be bittersweet. Tara, because Tara was banging Denise and didn't. Well, I don't know who's doing the banging, but you get my point. And Denise was the one who got it in the comic, so she's a choice. Of course, she would have to show them where Oceanside is first, and that looks like it's coming first. So yeah, Tara or Rosita. I still like Rosita, though, because that would be funny. Rosita's like, oh, Sasha. Not Maggie. It can't be Maggie. I say Maggie has nice setup, but it can't be Maggie because she's way too important. All right, last one. I'm not going to stop. Last one, we'll split this in two parts. Cammy Whelan. Hey, Ronnie, do you think that Eugene will fight an all-out war against the survivors or at least help Negan in some way? Or do you think... No, I think Eugene will betray Negan. I think he'll probably, or at least I'm hoping he'll probably set something up that will explode or whatever. No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't like it. I hate the idea. Eugene will not help Negan. He'll help him if he needs to, if he's forced to, but I think he'll try to sabotage it once he sees a war is going on. He's going to want to help his survivors. I'm just not buying it. That he's a bad guy. Q&A, do you think, well, one more. Do you think Rick will eventually die? Yes, I do. And do you think that Carl will take over the main role after the show? Not at all. Unfortunately, Chandler Riggs, listen, he's doing a good job. I don't want to make this sound like an insult, but he's nowhere near what an actor needs to be to carry the show. It's just not as far as talent and range. But he can still build that up. Absolutely. He can change overnight. You could be like, okay, you know what? I want to take over the show. I want to brush up my skills. Yeah, if he trained and had some self-awareness, you know what I'm saying? Sure, he could take shit over. Absolutely. He's just not there yet. And again, that's not a diss because there's some adult actors, you know, that are twice his age that have been acting twice as long as he has, and they aren't able to carry the show. It breaks down to even charisma. If you don't have the right charisma, you might not be able to carry the show. But I think when Rick dies, that's probably the end of the show, or at least it should be. If they want to continue with the story, then pick somebody else. All right, let's end it here. We're going to dive into another one, and I'll post the second Q&A tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know why I had to think about that. I'll post a second Q&A tomorrow. Thoughts, theories, opinions, suggestions, Q&A questions for another Q&A possibly. If the episode airs and we don't get to these questions, don't even put any more. We'll do a whole new batch. So, thoughts and opinions in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.
Subscribe now.